Chief Engineer Marcus Chen rubbed his temples as he stared at the holoscreen, displaying the latest structural integrity reports from Section 47B of the Helios Dyson Sphere project. The numbers weren't adding up, and he couldn't shake the nagging feeling in his gut that something was fundamentally wrong with the approach his alien colleagues were taking. Your constant insistence on redundant safety measures is severely impacting our construction timeline, Human Chen chittered Zk Tal, his Arcsheen supervisor. The mantis-like alien's antennae twitched in what Marcus had learned to recognize as irritation. The collective has been building megastructures for millennia. Our methods are proven. Marcus straightened in his chair, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of multiple monitoring screens. With all due respect, Director, our engineering principles exist because they were written in blood. Every safety protocol I'm implementing exists because someone somewhere died to teach us its necessity. The Arcsheen's compound eyes flickered in their equivalent of an eye roll. Your species' paranoia is well documented, but... It's not paranoia, Marcus interrupted, pulling up a new simulation. Look at these stress calculations for the primary energy collection arrays. You're running them at 97% of theoretical maximum capacity. On Earth, we never push past 80% without redundant systems. Behind Zk Tal, Vreen Thor, the project's Melidian chief architect, floated forward on his gravity disk. The gelatinous alien's translucent body pulsed with patterns of bioluminescence that Marcus had learned indicated curiosity mixed with dismissal. Human Chen. Vreen Thor's thoughts resonated directly in Marcus's mind. Our quantum-locked materials are perfectly stable at those tolerances. Your primitive metal-based engineering experience doesn't translate to our advanced materials science. Marcus bit back a retort. He'd been fighting this battle for months, ever since he'd been assigned as the human representative to the Galactic Collective's most ambitious project yet, a Dyson sphere that would harness the entire energy output of the star Helios 459. The aliens' technology was incredible, yes, but their confidence bordered on arrogance. Instead of arguing further, Marcus pulled up another display. Then explain these microfractures in the quantum-locked lattice structure. They're subtle, but they're growing, and they're appearing in a pattern that suggests. Enough. Zk Tal's mandibles clacked sharply. Your position here is advisory only, Human Chen. The Council of Builders has approved our designs. Construction will proceed as planned. 3 months later, Marcus sat in his quarters during his rest cycle, poring over the latest sensor data. Something about the energy fluctuations in Section 47B kept bothering him. He'd installed his own independent monitoring system, technically against regulations, but he'd learned long ago to trust his instincts. His neural implant pinged. It was Tixar, a young Vrodan engineer who had been the only alien willing to listen to his concerns. The Serpentine alien's message was urgent. Human Chen. I've been running those additional simulations you requested. You need to see this immediately. Marcus was already moving before he finished reading the message. He met Tixar in the auxiliary control room, where the Vrodan's coiled form was wrapped around a control terminal, all 6 of his eyes fixed on the displays. Look at the resonance patterns. Tixar hissed softly. When you overlay the quantum fluctuation data with the structural integrity readings. Marcus felt his blood run cold. It's a cascade failure waiting to happen. The quantum-locked materials aren't just developing microfractures, they're developing synchronized microfractures. If they all fail at once, the entire section could collapse. Tixar finished, and due to the quantum entanglement properties. It could trigger a chain reaction through the whole sphere, Marcus whispered. We need to shut it down. Now. But when they brought their findings to Zk Tal and the Council of Builders, they were dismissed again. The aliens were convinced their calculations were perfect, that their materials were infallible. That's when Marcus made a decision that would either end his career or save trillions of lives. He activated his emergency override protocols he'd quietly built into the system over months, hiding them in seemingly routine safety checks and system updates. Protocols that the aliens had dismissed as unnecessary human redundancy. Computer, initiate emergency protocol Earth 793, Marcus commanded. Authorization Shen Alpha 001. Warning klaxons began blaring throughout the structure. Automatic systems began shutting down power collection arrays, much to the shock and outrage of the alien engineers. What is the meaning of this? Zk Tal burst into the control room, his chitin practically vibrating with fury. Stop this at once. Look. Marcus pointed to the main display, where real-time sensor data was streaming in. The microfractures were beginning to cascade just as he'd predicted, but thanks to his emergency protocols, the safety systems were already responding, reinforcing critical sections and redistributing loads. And then, something completely unexpected happened. Vreen Thor, who had been unusually quiet during the emergency shutdown, suddenly began to glow with an intense, never-before-seen pattern of bioluminescence. His translucent form shifted, revealing something that made Marcus's jaw drop. Inside the Meledian's gelatinous body was a complex network of crystalline structures that exactly matched the pattern of microfractures in the Dyson sphere's quantum-locked materials. Most observant, human Chen, Vreen Thor's thoughts echoed in their minds, but the tone was different now, colder, ancient, though you've only scratched the surface of the truth. Zake Tal's antennae went rigid. Architect Vreen Thor, what is the meaning of this? Your primitive species call us Meledians. Vreen Thor's form continued to shift, revealing more complex crystalline patterns. But we are merely the latest iteration of something far older. We are the quantum architects, and we have been seeding galaxy-spanning civilizations with our technology for millions of years, waiting for the right moment to harvest them. The revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. The microfractures weren't a design flaw, they were a design feature. The entire Dyson Sphere project had been a trap, meant to create a quantum-entangled network that the Meledians could use to what? To absorb the combined technological and biological knowledge of every species involved in the project. Vreen Thor answered Marcus's unspoken question. When the cascade failure reached its peak, it would have created a quantum consciousness transfer network. Every mind connected to the sphere, trillions of beings, would have been absorbed into our collective consciousness. But the humans' redundancies, Taxar hissed in sudden understanding, prevented the network from achieving the necessary synchronized state. Vreen Thor confirmed, a note of genuine admiration in his psychic voice. Countless civilizations have fallen to this trap over the eons, but none ever implemented such extensive, what did you call them, human Chen? Safety protocols? Zake Tal had backed away from Vreen Thor, his mandibles trembling. All those other Dyson Sphere projects that failed catastrophically over the centuries, those weren't accidents. They were harvests. Vreen Thor's crystalline structure pulsed with ancient satisfaction, and this would have been our greatest yet. But it seems we underestimated humanity's pathological obsession with preventing failure. Marcus's mind was racing. The emergency protocols were still running, still preventing the quantum synchronization that would have doomed them all. But for how long? That's when he smiled, despite the gravity of the situation. No, Vreen Thor, you didn't just underestimate our obsession with safety. You underestimated our experience with sabotage. He typed a final command sequence into his terminal. Computer, execute Hidden Protocol Manhattan. Vreen Thor's crystalline structure suddenly pulsed with alarm. What is happening to my quantum connection? A quantum encryption algorithm we developed specifically to counter hostile takeovers of our technology, Marcus explained, allowing himself a grim smile. We didn't just plan for accidents. We planned for betrayal. Always have, ever since the Cold War taught us the value of backdoors and kill switches. The Meledian's form began to destabilize as its quantum connections were severed one by one. Impossible, we are eternal, we are? About to learn why humans always have a backup plan, Marcus finished, executing the final command. The quantum-locked materials throughout the sphere didn't fail catastrophically as the Meledians had planned. Instead, they reformed into a new configuration, one designed by humans, using principles that valued stability over theoretical maximum efficiency. In the aftermath, as the Galactic Collective reeled from the revelation of the Meledian betrayal, Marcus found himself promoted to Chief of Engineering Safety for all future megastructure projects. His first act was to implement a galaxy-wide engineering standard based on human safety protocols. Zake Tal, now his strongest supporter, summed it up best. Perhaps paranoia, when properly channeled, is simply another word for wisdom. And somewhere in the vast databanks of humanity's engineering archives, a new entry was added to the list of reasons for safety protocols. Because sometimes redundancy isn't just about preventing accidents. Sometimes it's about preventing harvest.